Knicks Nation, today is Tuesday, the 6th day of February 2024. I hope you're safe and healthy today, and that your family's safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, along with the first responders who every day are saving lives, and those that pick up garbage to keep our places clean and make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women that are out here helping to rescue, deliver, recover teenagers and children who are the victims of child molestation and pedophilia. The people who are also victims of prostitution and child prostitution, pornography, child pornography, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on the perpetrators, the profiteers, and the perverts that create this industry. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children, and increasingly senior citizens, homeless in the United States of America. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. There's a basketball game tonight. The New York Knicks will play the Memphis Grizzlies at Madison Square Garden. This is the short story for today, but we have a longer story that's more important in my view. Yes, they're going to be without Quentin Grimes, without OG Anunoby, and they're going to go 7 deep. Miles McBride and Jericho Sims are going to be coming off the bench. Precious Achua will start, and then you're going to get some minutes, some spot minutes, some situational minutes from Malachi Flynn. That's the game. They should be able to win this game. It's not a guarantee, as this is the league. Memphis is missing John Morant, missing Desmond Bane, missing several of their key pieces, but they have enough to win the game, and so the Knicks have to come to play. I expect that they will keep the turnovers down, get those rebounds, keep Isaiah Hartenstein out of foul trouble. It should be a good night. Now, on the sad note, since the Knicks have started their rebuild, part of the rebuild is drafting and developing. Okay, so since they started the rebuild, when the rebuild started, it was with Leon Rose. When Leon Rose came on board, he hired Walt Perrin. He hired several people in his back office, top-notch, talented people, which makes them one of the best-run organizations right now in the NBA. They also was trying to build a long-term sustainable winner, and they hired Tom Thibodeau as part of that. When they hired Tom Thibodeau, there's always a period of time in every organization where the head coach and the coaching staff and the front office are trying to get on the same page. In the league where everybody's getting paid big money and everybody's professional, everybody has their way of doing things, but the goal with long-term sustainable winning and building an organization the right way is getting everybody from top to bottom on the same page. And so in the beginning it was a little rough, but Leon put together a team that Tom could work with. But that team he inherited, that is Tom, some leftovers from the previous regime. He inherited Mitchell Robinson. He inherited Frank Ntilikina. He inherited R.J. Barrett. Now the process would begin to build the team that Tom wants. Now he started off with Reggie Bullock, Elfrid Payton, and he had Juju as his main dude. He liked Mitchell Robinson because in Tom Thibodeau's style, a defensive coach anchors the defense is very important, most important in fact. And so he had Mitchell Robinson, but Mitchell Robinson was young, needed more work. They brought in a backup in Nerlens Noel to help him with that, and all that worked out for that first season. 41 wins out of 72 games, fourth seed in the East. They get bounced in the first round by Atlanta, but it was the first season of a rebuild. Okay, of course, everybody was tripping out, but that's another story. It was the first season of a rebuild. Year 2, Leon messes up. Leon brings in Kemba Walker thinking he's going to bring more offense from the point guard position because Elfrid Payton was not offensive in the point guard position, but he missed an important point, too, in fact. One, Kemba wasn't Kemba. He was on one leg. And two, even though Elfrid Payton couldn't shoot, Elfrid Payton could defend. And that's what's more needed in Tom Thibodeau's game than offense. But he thought he was helping, so he brings in Kemba Walker. He brings in, for Reggie Bullock, Evan Fournier, who's a better offensive player. But again, for Tom, it's the defense. And neither of them cats could play it. At the same time, they moved Frank Ntilikina, softy, French croissant softy, moved him on. And then they drafted Grimes. First of all, they drafted Obi Toppin, and they drafted IQ, with the intent of Obi Toppin taking the place of Julius Randle. That was Leon's intent. That wasn't Tom Thibodeau's intent. And that was an issue which got resolved later, as we know. But That was one issue. Then the next draft, he gets Quentin Grimes, Deuce McBride, and some other players, but those are the two. And then in the last pick, he gets Jericho Sims in that draft. So now you got 2 drafts under your belt. You're developing your team, and now this year they decided they were going to replace RJ because they needed a more seasoned guy at that spot. RJ, as I said, is the future. OG is the present. OG became available. They got him. They needed to move IQ to get that done, but IQ had proven over the years he is a starter coming off the bench, and he had several teams that he could start for. So Leon parlayed that into OG and Precious. Beautiful move. And of course, we see the results. The Knicks have won, 15 out of 18 games in the first 18 games that they've had OG. And so it's worked. Precious is now stepping in for injured Juju. It's completely worked, okay? So that was a tremendous move. Now, we have Miles McBride. Most of you still don't get the memo. It was the same weekend that they traded IQ, that they extended Miles McBride. Let me just make sure y'all understand this. I know some of y'all don't want to believe because you don't like Deuce, or you think, oh, I like Deuce, but he can't really play a point guard. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. He does play point guard. And the Knicks, most importantly, believe he can play the point guard, which is why he's the backup point guard. Can he play a 2-guard spot? Yes, he can play both, but he's a backup point guard. Now, in this lineup that we have now with a 7-man rotation, you're going to see him, and you have seen him. This is not theory. He's been playing both spots because they've played him and Brunson together because they're short-handed. Now, Quentin Grimes. I like both of these kids coming out of school because of the future. Problem is this, and this is what I didn't realize until this week. Once the Knicks signed Jaylen Brunson, they became win now. I didn't realize it because, first of all, I didn't want Brunson. I wanted them to hand the keys to IQ when it was that time. The Knicks obviously had designs on Brunson that year. Brunson would have signed a $55 million deal if Dallas had offered it. They didn't the summer before. They offered it come January, but by then it was too late. So now it was about $80 million for Brunson, which I thought was too much. I thought Brunson was good. I didn't know he was this good. As a matter of fact, if everybody's going to be honest about it, most people didn't know he was going to be this good. Okay, so they signed him for $100 million. Now, I seen him perform that same year in the playoffs, and I thought, okay, anybody that drops 40 in an NBA playoff game could play. But even then, I didn't think he was going to be this good because Dallas ran a wide open offense, like a spread offense, gave him room in the paint to do the Hall of Fame level footwork that he does. The Knicks were more clogged, but see, he came and he still did business last year. And then when they moved RJ, he's all world now. So soon that signing went from, okay, we got 2 more years of development to no, we're going to win now. And that's what made Quentin and makes Quentin expendable. Under normal rebuilding circumstances, you'd let Quentin play, you'd let him play this year and next year, and you extend him next year, and he's developing. He's going to be a tremendous 2-way player in the NBA. I still, this has nothing to do with him ability. I still feel, and I very strongly feel, that Quentin Grimes is going to be a 50, 40, 90 guy in the league. Very rare. And he's going to be an all-NBA defender. He's going to be. That's how I feel about him. But now with this win now situation, and now you have Dejounte Murray wanting to come to New York, and that's what this whole Clutch Sports thing is about. Agents are in business. The NBA is a business. When 2 agents have a conflict, they may not like each other, but the business comes first. It's not like Rich Paul wanted to be buddies with Leon Rose and Leon Rose wants to be buddies with Rich Paul. It's one of his clients says, get me to New York. Agent, get me to New York. That guy, I believe, is Dejounte Murray. So now Rich Paul got to come to the Don and say, let's work this out because my client really wants to come here. Let's work this out, which is why they had the meeting. Now, I don't like that Quentin Grimes, I hate actually to see this happen because of what I just said of my belief in Quentin Grimes. But I understand, especially now that they got Jaylen Brunson in his prime, who's now all-star and will be all-NBA. You're now win now. You got Julius Randle in his prime, all-star, all-NBA. You're now in win now. And you just got Obi in his prime, all defense. So now, you got Dejounte Murray wanting to come here. That's Atlanta. If you know Quentin Grimes, if you know anything about him, he's from Houston. He would love to be in Houston. He left University of Kansas and transferred to University of Houston. He would love to play there. How does this get done? Let me explain. Houston, if you look at Houston's lineup, if you look at their starting lineup, the Houston starting lineup. Now, Houston signed Fred VanVleet to $30 million a year. They signed Dillon Brooks to $86 million. They got Alperen Sengun, who is now becoming a Joker light. And of course, the pride guy is Jabari Smith, who I always felt was the biggest player in that draft. He's got the highest upside. He's going to be that guy. 6'10", 6'11" at the 4 spot. Can shoot the 3, smooth as silk. He's going to be that guy. He's still young, though. Then you got Jalen Green. Jalen Green, to me, is what Aaron was. What's that kid's name? He's now in Denver. Aaron Gordon. He's in Denver now. But what you're seeing now from Aaron Gordon is not what he was when he was in Orlando. He was not that polished. He definitely was not. In Orlando, he was an uber athletic kid that tried to jump over everybody all the time. In fact, he won the dunking contest. Weak on defense, not a great playmaker. He had the talent, but he needed to get it honed in. He started doing it in Orlando, and then he came to Denver. Now you see him, he's a straight power forward. He's very disciplined. He plays great defense. Very smart. He's a different player right now because he's now developed. When he first came in the league, that wasn't him. Jalen Green is Aaron Gordon when Aaron Gordon first came in the league. Because Aaron Gordon is 6'9", Jalen Green's like 6'5". They play two different positions, but they're very similar in that regard. So right now, Houston has some veterans. And I was wondering what the hell they were doing because you had all these kids. You got Tyree Eason. You got Whitmore. You got Amen Thompson. You got all these kids. What are you developing or are you going for the win now? If they removed Jalen Green and replaced him with Quentin Grimes, think of this now. Fred VanVleet's a tremendous defender. Quentin Grimes is a tremendous defender. Dillon Brooks is a tremendous defender. Now your wing defense just went up a notch. I'm not sure of how good Sengun is as a defender. I know Jabari Smith is still learning, but the length, the talent, the desire is all there. You just put your defense up a notch. Okay? And the difference between Green and Grimes, Green needs touches. Green plays the game and he needs touches. He's a guy that wants touches. And the Houston Rockets, that's not what they need right now. They need a guy that doesn't need touches. They need a guy that can play some defense. They need a guy that's ready to hit an open jump shot and can lock down. That's Quentin Grimes. So let me propose this. Jalen Green goes to Atlanta. Quentin Grimes goes to Houston. Evan Fournier goes to Atlanta. They add draft capital because Green was a lottery pick. I'm not sure who would put the draft capital in, but there's got to be some draft capital. Quentin Grimes was a late first rounder, even though he's developed better to me than Jalen Green. Jalen Green was a lottery pick. He's got high upside. So you're going to have to compensate them for that. So now I'm saying Grimy goes to Houston, Green goes to Atlanta, and Dejounte Murray comes to New York. Evan Fournier goes to Atlanta, and that's the how. And then there's some draft capital exchange, and that deal gets done. Another way it's going to get done, and this is going to happen this week. Either that, or and that's what Grimes would prefer, because Grimes wants to play for Houston, or Grimes goes to Atlanta. They could use him again, starting two guard. He would start immediately, and he would play next to Trae Young, and Evan Fournier and Grimes go to Atlanta, and then you send back DeJounte Murray. That's it, deal done. Okay, I don't like it, and one of the reasons I don't like it, aside from losing Grimes, is I don't like messing with what is working. Right now, you got Dante DiVincenzo playing at a really almost all-star level. He's really killing it right now, next to Jaylen Brunson. They like each other. They play well together. It's working. It's working on every level. Offensively, defensively, ball movement, it's working. The Knicks have won, like I said, they've won like 16 or 15 out of their last 18 games. It's working, okay? I don't like messing with what works. I don't like tinkering with what you got going that's working. If the machine is working, I don't like messing with it. But this is going to mess with it. Some people mention, well, you could bring DeJounte Murray off the bench. Yeah, that would be ideal. Bring DeJounte Murray off the bench. But let me ask you this. He's 27. He's in his prime. He started his whole career. He's been all NBA defense. He's getting paid $24 million. You think he's going to come off the bench in New York? You think he's coming to Madison Square Garden telling his agent, get me to the Garden so he can come off the bench? Come on, y'all. That ain't going to happen. So while I think that would work, it's not going to happen. What's going to happen is he's going to start next to Jaylen Brunson. You're going to have Dante in Mobb Deep. It could work. It could. I just don't like messing with what's working. But I'm telling you, there's too much smoke to ignore it. I have a strong feeling I don't like it. And I'm not going to be one of those that jump online when this trade is done on Thursday and say emergency broadcast. No, we'll talk about it on Friday, my regular broadcast, because I'm not going to be one talking about it. I'm going to be in a bad mood. I'm going to be in a bad mood because I don't want to lose Quentin Grimes. But I've got to be real. I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to happen just like I told you. Either he goes to Atlanta or he goes to Houston. He'd rather go to Houston. And Leon Rose is really good about bringing a player where he wants to go. RJ, we know if RJ wasn't in New York, he would want to be in Toronto. Guess where he is? Okay. Obi-Wan in Indiana. Guess where he is? Well, Quentin wants Houston. Now, if Houston, and then I heard little noise about they maybe wanting to move Jalen Green. Little noise, not a lot. Little noise. Noise I would normally ignore. But with Grimy, I know wanting to go to Houston. It all now makes sense. So either Grimy goes to Houston or Grimy goes to Atlanta. In either case, the New York Knicks are going to have DeJounte Murray. I will admit, DeJounte Murray in Madison Square Garden, as certain stupid people would say, is box office. But I will admit that. But again, I don't like messing with what is already working. But anyway, like I said, I got to be real. I think this is going to happen, y'all. So I'm trying to buckle your seatbelts because it's going to be all over. It's going to happen between today's Tuesday, today and Thursday. That deal's going to get done. Another thing that caused me to believe it is Quentin Grimes is not playing tonight. Now, I know he hurt his knee a little bit. Quentin Grimes is tough. He would be back to play tonight. And plus, I think it was over the weekend. They said he had started shooting already. Did he get to come back? Now, all of a sudden, he can't play? At the trade deadline coming Thursday? Nah, that's a move to get him healthy for his new team. Because he's going to start for his new team, either Atlanta or Houston. We're going to see. I'm be happy for him if it's Houston, honestly, because that's where he wants to be. His mama's down there. His family's down there. He's from Houston. He went to high school there. It's homecoming just like RJ. So I'd like to see him there. So in that case, Houston got to decide they want to give off Jalen Green. I don't think that's a hard move for them to make. I think that's an easy move because Grimes brings up that defense to another level. Grimes does for their defense what OG does for our defense on Houston. And because Fred VanVleet, he's not Jaylen Brunson, But defensively, he's better than Jaylen Brunson. He could play defense, Fred VanVleet. Okay, and so he got game too. So Fred VanVleet, Grimy, and Dylan Brooks, he crazy, weird pink or whatever, but dude could play some defense, tough as nails. So you get that out there, Houston becomes a dangerous team. Anyway, we will see how this works out, but we're going to see it very soon. I'm not going to be happy, but it is what it is. Let's go Knicks. Y'all enjoy your Tuesday. So.